What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another special live-ish edition of Whiskey Web and Whatnot with your hosts, Robbie the Wagner and Charles William Carpenter III.
Yeah, I'm going to need you to call me Willie, Big Willie style the rest of the show.
This is Big Willie style.
Okay. The third.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm very important.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have a special guest today, Jack Herrington. How's it going,
Hi.
Jack?
It's great. Yeah, enjoying the whiskey-ish.
Nice.
This is new for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
I'm not really a whiskey fan, so it's... Yeah,
We're hoping to change that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or at least,
I mean, a
make
little
you
bit.
open to it.
Yeah.
The
Absolutely.
secret is to just make it all up. You smell it and you're like, oh, arbitrary shit like,
this
it
smells
tastes
the
like
same as
new
the other one.
shoes.
Okay.
Or like,
All right.
Yeah. This
What was
one's,
the other one I had? Was
Yeah.
Old Medley?
yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You tried an
that's
Old
a
Medley
classic
12.
kind of
Yeah.
whiskey name. Like Old Medley.
Can't be
Yeah.
just Medley. It's the old one. Don't get the
Yeah,
young Medley.
exactly. You wouldn't want the new Medley.
No.
Yeah, you want the...
Got to sit in barrels for a while.
Yeah, right.
That would be gross.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm already getting ahead of myself, though. I forgot to let you introduce yourself and say who you are and what you do. So,
Oh, yeah.
let's do that.
So I'm a principal full stack engineer, and I also am a YouTuber, and my channel is called The Blue Collar Coder. I do mostly React, Next.js stuff, but really full stack. Yeah, it's been really fun.
Cool.
So Rust otherwise?
Actually, funny you say that. Actually, I'm going to do a Rust video coming up pretty soon.
Oh, cool.
cool. Yeah.
All right. See,
I think I did a Rust video a couple weeks ago. So, yeah.
nice.
Change it up, try different things.
Yeah,
Right,
Rust's cool
absolutely.
now, so.
Very, yeah. Prime, you've heard of Primeagen?
Oh, yeah, he's been on.
Okay, so yeah, he's making
Yeah.
Rust cool.
Yeah. I mean, after that milk video, but we'll get into
Oh,
that.
Lord.
maybe. Yeah.
With the milk. I don't even understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we'll
Yeah,
get
I'm
into
just- I don't
that.
think
Twitter
anyone
fluent
does
enough
it.
for that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right.
what
So
do we
let's
got?
get
What is
into the
my
whiskey.
position on that?
Today, folks, we have the Barrell. Yes, I know we've done a lot of barrels, but this one's
love
very
barrels.
interesting. Barrels with 2 L's, and that's the name of the distillery. It's one of their private releases. It is finished in an Amaro cask of other words that I can't read or say. It's 124.16 proof, so it's a hot one.
Oh,
Coming in
wow.
hot. They're not age stated, but that's because they do a blend anyway. That's kind of their thing. It does say that it is a blend of both Kentucky and Indiana whiskeys, so that means some sourced MGP stuff. But without further ado, let's get to it. I'm going to do the pop sound because it's fun.
Oh,
There you
yeah.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
We
just
can't
part
do
of
the
it.
pour because it's not our whiskey.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. So we are currently located in a private club whiskey library.
Oh,
because
Lord.
that's some fancy shit.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, that's that.
Jack likes it.
Yeah, he loves it.
Jack's a whiskey
Yeah.
man now.
Oh, Lord. That burns going
Smells
down.
like dragon fruit candy to me.
I don't even know.
Is 124, or how does that rate?
A little high.
Yeah, that's
Little
hot. That would be
high? Like,
hot. Yeah,
okay.
that
Pretty
would
high.
be-
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Like
a
a-
lot of the angel took a lot of the water out.
Yeah.
It feels like actually has a little bit of like. Have you ever had chocolate covered cherries, like that cordial candy dessert thing?
yeah?
That's
Is that what it feels like
it
to you?
smells like that a little bit to me. Some of that like
Mine
little,
kind of
like,
tastes like scallops. You getting that?
Yeah.
It turns out that it smells like fish
Well,
in
it
this
doesn't,
room.
no, I
know.
know. I don't smell that anymore.
Close your
actually,
legs, Robbie.
at all.
God.
Okay. Well, that one, the third try hit a little bit less. So, yeah. Are you guys done with that? I think it's
Working
a
on
sipping
it.
whiskey for me.
It is.
No.
It is alcohol-y.
It is. There's a lot of burn there, but I am really getting like a deep kind of cordially like
That's got some
sweetness.
sweetness, yeah.
with
Yeah,
a little
quite a
water.
bit of sweetness to it.
Yeah. It's like a syrupy sweet candy with like rubbing alcohol mixed in.
Right.
Yeah.
Like guaranteed heartburn later, but
Yeah, this is...
and it's a small amount here we have to sample, but I am going to still try and sample it both ways. So I'm going to have it first up as distiller intended, and then we'll probably for another drink I'll add a couple drops of water. And that can open
Oh,
it
is
up.
that-
Yeah.
Make it a little less intense.
Yeah, I was noticing you swirling it.
Yeah,
I mean,
well,
you do this with
it's
wine.
like
Oh,
aeration.
it's like-
I actually
okay.
just think it's fun. I don't think it
Oh, I
does
see, okay.
anything
Yeah.
for it. Really,
I mean, you can't
it's,
put it through like one of those kind of
yeah.
like things that
Here we
bubbles
go.
and
I'm gonna
stuff.
like get
Oh,
the
there
paper
you go.
so that I can see its color and quality.
How are the
Right.
legs on this?
Yeah, what are the legs
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
on it? Looks like really alcohol-y. No, but I get a lot of sweetness in the front and maybe a tinge of some bitter there from
okay.
like a I don't know orange rind, citrus rind, something like that.
I think
Arbitrary
breed seemed to have
rinds.
helped it a little bit.
Yeah, it makes it. All right, Jack. So
Okay.
the way that we do this is we have a very simple rating system. 1 to
It's
8
very
tentacles.
complex.
Yeah.
1 to 8 tentacles.
1 to 8 tentacles,
Okay.
because that's a whole play on an octopus.
As you do.
1 being terrible, I don't want this anymore. 8 being amazing, please always give me this whiskey or spirit.
Okay.
And 4 just being like, okay. So I know you said you're not a big whiskey fan.
Sure.
So just
Let
in
me
comparisons.
emulate a whiskey fan, I guess.
You don't even have to. Like,
Oh.
if it's a 1 because you just hate this shit, that's totally fine too. So
Oh, I mean, nice.
right,
You know, I mean,
compare it against so you prefer other libations, and that's totally
Yeah,
fine.
yeah.
So we'll just kind of keep it in the whiskey family of whiskeys you've tried, and you've had now
of
two
the
today.
whiskeys I've tried, this is very nice. Yeah.
Right.
So maybe 5?
Yeah, I think that's a
Okay.
fair,
Better than average,
decent,
yeah, all right.
above average for
Okay.
you. You're probably not reaching for it all the time, but you appreciate it for what it is.
Yeah. I mean, if somebody served this to me like, oh, that's a whiskey.
Yeah.
That's nice.
And you'd be like, oh, that's a whiskey that's got, it's a
I would
little
definitely
more
put it
diverse.
on,
It's got a,
which apparently is sacrilege. I would put it on the rock. Is it rock?
that is
or
only
that-
me. Well, in this case,
That
it
is
is
a
rock.
singular
That is
rock.
a
Singular
one
rock,
rock. So you have
right.
a
Okay, so
large
I mean-
ice block.
Yeah, so ice
brought
block,
in
and
and
that would-
shaved down
Over
by
time,
your
it seems to
bartender.
mellow it out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would agree that it does. So 5. I think 5.
In fact, I'm going to do the sacrilegious. I'm actually going to
Do it.
Okay.
Were you
All
also
right.
saying 5? Is that what you're saying?
And I am not. I'm going to
Oh.
pass it to you because I'm
to
doing
me?
lots of talking. And
Yeah, so we love this brand usually.
Oh.
This one, I don't hate it, but it's not like, this is one of the lower ones, I feel like, of the ones I've had of theirs. So,
So this is like a boutique brand?
yeah, so I don't know, they do interesting, like the name is Barrel, and they do
Yeah.
a lot of interesting barrels. Like they'll put it in like a Cabernet cask and
I
like
see.
different stuff.
so they'll
So
do
this one's a
blend
little
and
bit
then-
less interesting to me. There's not as many different flavors, so I'm gonna say 4.
Oh,
Okay.
interesting. Okay.
So there's some wine connection. They can use...
Used barrels just as a finishing
Okay.
process. So it's
Yeah.
common for distilleries to do that just to like change a flavor profile of and it's not always a blend. And they're doing a blend here to just get to a particular flavor profile that they think will mature well in this finishing process.
I see.
I mean, it's like usually no longer than 6 months. Can be like a month, usually up to about 6 months, but nothing crazy. This one does have a lot of that in it, so I would think they probably went pretty far
Right.
with this particular Amaro. The thing about Amaros too is that they can be all kinds of stuff, like limoncello's Amaro, Fernet Branca Amaro, like and everything in between there. So this seems to like askew to the sweeter side of that. So for those reasons, I kind of agree with Robbie, but I was actually going to side with you in terms of the
overall
same
rating?
rating. It's above average for me.
Okay.
I think they do good stuff.
That's
It's
plus.
interesting,
Yeah.
but I think they're like too much sweetness, a little overpowering for the sweetness. And these things are usually at least $100 a bottle.
Whoa.
And can go up from there. And so, value for what
How
you're
many
getting.
pours do I get out of a bottle?
Well, it depends on who's pouring
lot.
it, right?
Okay,
Yeah,
so
you can get
how
a
many
lot.
ounces we got here?
750 milliliters is a normal.
It's 25 ounces.
25
so that's
ounces.
like
So
20
2-ounce pour. You can talking
There you go.
12 pours, 12 and a
Yeah.
half pours. So,
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That's not, I mean, you know.
Not terrible for that. If
terrible.
you,
Yeah.
so this is like probably 2 or 3 days for me worth of whiskey.
Did you say 2 or 3 days?
2 or 3 days. That's
Days?
probably.
No,
I'm just
no.
messing.
Dang.
Like 2 or 3 bottles of this would be 2 or 3 days for you.
Okay, there we go.
Good way
Now
to
you're
put it.
leaning
Yeah, I
in.
like that.
So anyway, I'm going
Yeah.
5 as well, and I'm kind of personally just comparing it to the other barrels that we've had, and certainly
sure.
been some better. There's probably been one that was like, oh, this is
Well,
great.
What's
that's
your
why
favorite
I
brand?
did 4 is because
What's
comparing to
the
this.
8? What's the octo? brand?
Gosh.
Old Forester Prohibition one.
Oh, the 1920. That's a high
yeah.
one for me. Yeah, I
and
do like
our
the-
barrel pick because we have good taste. We feel like
Yeah.
Okay.
So we
and,
did we did a barrel pick from distillery out of actually Balmore.
What does that mean? So
So
you actually like get it out right out of the barrel?
well,
sort of thing?
they sent samples and then
Yeah.
you choose
Oh.
out of that. You can. There are places where you can go there.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
then
like in
they'll let
wineries you can go and
yeah, same thing. You
there you go.
Yep. Yeah. They
Yeah,
have
yeah.
the whiskey thief is what they call
Oh.
it. Yeah, it's a little copper thing and then. And then you try a bunch of them, and you decide which one you want, and then you buy the whole barrel. But then they don't ship you a barrel; they actually
Yeah,
bottle
that would
it
be
and all that stuff for
logistically
you.
right,
a nightmare.
Yeah,
It's like buying a half a cow.
yeah,
They actually
basically.
give you,
yeah, they're
And
gonna
let's
like
cut it in
up
half and
do
mail it.
Right.
They put it on ice. Come on, they're not,
Shows
they're
at
not
the house,
barbarians
like,
who wasted
yeah.
that. So, so I went 5 anyway.
All
Not
right.
bad by any means. Just segmenting with barrel, it was not as good as the others, but
Agreed.
yeah.
Okay.
So should we turn up the heat?
With some hot takes.
Hot takes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
Takes.
All
takes,
right.
Takes.
So
I just made that up.
Yeah. You want to start or you want me to start?
124
doesn't matter.
proof. Man.
You start.
Okay.
Okay.
In TypeScript, inferred types or explicit types?
Oh, explicit. Ooh. No, actually, inferred types.
Okay, are you sure?
Yeah. No,
Final answer?
Well, I mean, you hit me out. Yeah, okay. But yeah, I mean, I don't really like to overdo it. I mean, if it can be inferred, sure, go for it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Trust the folks who work around you. I think sometimes. I mean, libraries and things like that.
I mean, I actually do, a lot of template types.
Alrighty, here's one for you. Tailwind CSS or vanilla CSS?
Tailwind.
There we go. Okay. Yeah.
Although, big fan of Panda.
I've not heard of Panda.
Wow.
I thought that was those little chocolate like Asian cookies. Those are good.
No, I'm doing a video on Panda on Friday, and it's a CSS and JS solution that has all of the Tailwind shorthands in it. It's really nice, and it works with RSCs, the app router, all of that stuff, so you don't get that sort of issue. But they also have this ability to define atomic CSS types. Like you can literally just kind of like create this generic version of button, right? It's rounded, it's this, it's that. You can make it solid, you can make it outline, whatever. And you can use those in whatever. You could use it in Svelte, you can use it in React. And so when you think about these companies that are like the big Nikes of the world or whatever, Walmarts, and they've got like this team wants to be on Svelte and that team wants to be on React. The problem was like, okay, well, they're all going to need to create their own like components and everything. This really helps out with that because you basically create the one sort of atomic set, and then each of those teams can kind of skin those with whatever the local native like button is or whatever it is. Right. Yeah. That's pretty cool. Actually, I'm really blown away by Panda.
Huh. Yeah, we'll have to look that one up.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah, hopefully people can argue about it on Twitter soon.
Oh, Lord. I'm sure they will. I mean, that's definitely, I guess, the big things about like Next.js and RCs. It's like state management and CSS. Those are the two, like, they kind of flip the apple cart on that. And people are trying to figure out, like, where everything landed.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Get rebase or get merge?
Merge. I know that's not a popular opinion.
Well, it's been kind of 50-50 on the people we've asked. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Surprisingly.
All right.
But yeah, I guess people that merge aren't as loud on Twitter, maybe.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, I think the people that rebase are the people that really get into Git and really understand the ref logs and all that sort of stuff. I'm one of those people that like, if my Git repo gets just really hairy and I'm like X number of revisions ahead and this and that and the other thing, and I can't seem to rebase it all, I just basically just create a new directory, copy all it over, and whatever.
Yeah, you can say sure.
Yeah. What's the delta here? Let's go.
Yeah, makes sense.
I got put through the ringers by seniors years ago to
really learn
Git.
Yeah.
Do the rebase
How long did that
thing. How long did I have to do the
No,
right
did
shit?
you really understand Git? Because I mean, if you don't like really, I think you definitely really use it every day. It's like that knowledge loses its impact.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no,
Over time.
I could think. Yeah, that's true. I think I just got into a habit, and now it's just patterns. I don't have to think it anymore.
Yeah.
It probably took a couple of months to really like deep dive and do the right thing. And that was like back in the day where mentors weren't necessarily like pairing with you and leading you down. They're like, go read the fucking manual and come back and do this right. Rejected. You get that kind of stuff.
I'm actually I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
I mean, it's funny. I was giving a talk at OSU, so Oregon State, and there on the sign there's a sign on the wall that said, "If you get stuck, don't immediately go find somebody and get help immediately." And I'm like, that's not great,
right?
Because you don't give yourself. We are problem solvers.
Yeah,
like that's what we do. We constantly run into it's like the Martian. Like he says, like when he gets back, he's like, what we do is we solve enough problems and eventually you get home, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so what we do is we solve problems. And if you give somebody else your problem to solve, they're becoming a better engineer while you are not.
I would agree with that.
Yeah. So give yourself like 10 to 15 minutes, try and figure it out. If that doesn't work, hit up ChatGPT, and if that doesn't work, then, go to try and find the appropriate forum.
I do think that's like,
and then read the rules and then post.
So I do it wrong. Like,
okay. How do you do it?
I ask first because I know it'll take a while to get an answer from people. So then I'm like, "Hey, help me!"
Oh,
and
I
then I go try to figure it out, knowing that they'll help
and then
me
you
if I
come back
need
and
it
you
later.
say, "Oh, I already figured it out."
Yeah.
And I love that.
I just have to know the sarcasm there. No, I do think that like that's a maturity in your career in like, I don't know a lot of things, but I do have a lot of confidence in myself to be able to like find answers or find a path.
Right.
And then if I need like nuance or to get like really zoned in and I find an expert and like that kind of thing, sure.
Yeah.
But I think in general, like that's kind of maturity. That maybe is the definition of senior in some ways. Of
Definitely.
like, you know,
Yeah, I mean-
knowing how to like ask the right questions and go down the right paths to find the
Right. I mean,
information.
the definition, one of the definitions of senior to me is, can I put you on call?
Right.
Right. And the person that is on call, they get up at 2 a.m. They have to have some semblance of like not just calling everybody at 2 a.m. Be like, hey,
Yeah.
you know, whatever.
Yeah.
Like actually try and get in there and figure out like, oh, the disk is full over here, you know, whatever.
So serious question though.
Okay.
I mean,
Are we
what do you
back on
think
track?
about? No. What do you think about milk?
Oh Lord, I like milk. I mean, I'm a baker, so and you know, I love like heavy cream. I'm a fan. So I don't know what Adam.dev is on about, and you know, the Primeagen and all that. Like I just sort of sidestep that whole thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know. My Twitter game is terrible.
Yeah. No, I'm not agreeing with you about you.
No,
I'm not
please, that's
sure.
fine.
I don't know.
I don't
but
mind at
I do
all.
that. I actually like to like kind of be a little more on the sidelines and taking
Yeah.
it in, and then I'll drop some little nuggets here and there.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know really how to use it. Like a lot of folks use it as just like, hey, this is what I'm doing today. You know, like, okay, I'm cooking ribs, you know, or whatever. And you're like, oh, okay.
Don't you want to know, what Jason's cooking? I mean, how else are you going to know?
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. No. 124 proof. That's all I gotta say.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely. It's only been like 2.5 ounces of this.
Listener, just so you know, we do have a live audience
yes.
today for the show. So
You will
Oh,
see.
right,
You'll
okay.
see
In
them
the
on
background.
subsequent episodes.
right.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
You may see them later.
Yeah. You're
Also
batch
known
casting,
as.
you know, just like do a bunch of them.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a good idea, though.
Yeah.
And it's a great place. I mean,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We love this place.
Big fan.
big fan of the massive library of scotches.
Oh
whiskey.
yeah. There's a lot of scotch.
Like,
Brown
wait.
juice. A lot of brown juice out there.
Yeah. So like, again, complete novice on this. So there's whiskey, and then scotch is a varietal of whiskey.
Well,
yeah. You
yes.
take the E out of whiskey when
So
it's scotch style.
There's a saying
What?
in Kentucky, and
Yeah.
it's all bourbon is whiskey, but not all whiskey is bourbon.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay. I know more now.
Baby steps.
yeah. All right.
Yep.
I'm gonna skip this one. What is your least favorite programming language?
Oh, TCL.
Okay. I don't even
Hey,
know what
I
that
I don't
is.
even know what that
Never heard
is.
of that?
No.
Yeah, and no, it's a terrible language. It
Is it worse than ColdFusion?
yeah. Oh yeah.
okay.
No. Okay. So no, Lord no. I mean, it is terrible. So it was paired with a thing called TK. So it's TCL/TK. TK is this really nice kind of portable windowing system. They wrapped it in Perl and PHP and whatever, a whole bunch of stuff because it was nice, right? It was like cross-platform widgets, had a nice like layout system, all that sort of stuff. But it also was natively sort of connected with this TCL language, which is absolutely abysmal, worst language I've ever seen. And if you wanted to return a value from a function, what you do is you'd say upvar,
Okay.
and then you give the name of the variable in the parent function that called you, and the value that was supposed to get set to.
Okay.
That is
Seems
confusing.
That is
highly
that is deeply
illogical.
atrocious.
Yeah.
Because I mean, imagine like you change the variable name in a parent function, just like we're factoring a little bit, whatever. And it's like no, you actually have to like go change it in the function that you called. Because that calling function is actually going to go and like just jump back up the stack and set your locals.
Wow.
That doesn't seem so good.
No.
Yeah,
that's not
Seems
good.
like a nightmare to debug.
It isn't
Yeah.
right. It's a nightmare of a language. So no, that'd be the worst thing. APL is a close second. Okay, so again, probably guys probably know.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not familiar with that one. but-
No, exactly.
No. Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Alrighty. And this is almost a hot take.
What
but
is
anyway,
this kind
what's
of
your
a-
worst language?
Mine's what?
What's yours?
I hated ColdFusion. I
Oh, yeah,
had to
no,
do that for
yes,
a while. That
I
was like
agree.
really bad. And then trying to
ColdFusion
do
is great.
internationalization in ColdFusion
Oh,
was a
wow.
lot of repeat yourself. Not that
I'm
fun.
just thinking XML banks languages of any varietal.
Yeah,
It's nasty.
right. I did not enjoy
XSLT.
PHP very much, but I
Really?
was also doing it in the Wild
so
West
fun.
world of.
How do you like
of,
RCs?
Well, let me get to my next question here. Oh yeah, PHP in like the Wild West of WordPress. You know, 15, 20,
right,
whatever,
yeah, yeah.
15 plus
A
years
lot of people
ago.
make a lot of money off that.
I know, and
yeah.
it still powers the internet. I'm being honest,
Like half the
but-
internet.
Heck yeah, Wix.
exactly. So yeah.
Yeah.
So speaking of RSCs,
yeah.
did RSCs turn React into PHP?
No, not at all. I mean, it looks fairly similar, but when you actually think about what actually happened with Pages router to app router, like they just basically moved around get server-side props. I mean, there is some like there's now suspenses and things like that that can make things a little bit weirder, and you can have multiple components maybe, streaming simultaneously, but yeah, no, it's not PHP. I mean, I actually did a kind of rough comparison between the two.
Yeah.
And I mean, PHP is faster.
So then that begs the
it's
question.
so much better. Yeah.
Doesn't that beg the question of what's the point of this shit then?
Yeah, it's a question that a lot of people are asking, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, I think HTMX is something that people are looking at, like, why
Maybe this does make sense.
Right? I mean, I actually was reading the HTMX book today. They actually have a full book on this now.
Oh yeah, I did see that. Actually.
Yeah.
Did you buy it?
I bought it. Yeah,
it was
the hardcover was $50.
$55.
Right.
I was like,
but the Kindle was $9.99. So
okay.
ta-da!
Yeah, there we go.
Right, and one of the things they cited was JS fatigue, and I definitely feel that. Like it gets really complex, and I think like there's some alternatives in that space. There's Deno Fresh, which is a little easier.
Yeah, that's nice.
There's Quick, which I think is
Quick like that because of the W. I like to quick.
Okay,
Like that.
Sure.
Anyway, I don't know.
I
think that's how they intended
about
it. Yeah.
If it's quick.
Just that I got you to say that, I feel like I won.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
That is, I mean, I suppose like trying to be kind of more simplistic and get out of that cycle. But yeah, I mean, I think it is kind of a little bit too complicated. Like, I mean, I just said, oh, wow, this is great, this Panda CSS thing. But when you step back and look at it, you're like, whoa, we got this JS, it's turning into CSS, and then it's going and getting pre-compiled during the build. And you're like, well, it's a lot of that. This is a lot of complexity.
Yeah, you used to be able to just write HTML and JavaScript and CSS in files.
Right.
And load them, right?
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah.
What's my deploy process?
Yeah.
Untar.
Yeah.
Like change the symbolic link on the directory. Boom.
Yeah.
You're deployed.
Much too easy. We need more tools.
Right.
Well, and that's it.
Let's go complicate this.
We've all become like so emotionally attached to our tools in a way, right? Like I'm an expert at this. If all of a sudden my tool isn't necessary, or if I at least have to ask the question, then you start to become a little defensive or whatever else. Like because I've gone down this path so far, and if I let go of that,
because I don't feel that way at all.
No, I think. Oh well. I think some people do. Yeah, no,
collectively.
I think
it was more of a collective.
I think it's a phase of engineering development. Like the computer's kicking your butt. You're like, oh man, like I'm never doing anything I like. I'm getting these bugs. They're terrible. Blah blah. And then you finally conquer it. You learn some system that works for you.
Yeah.
And you feel really good, and everything's going fine. And then somebody's like, well, that sucks. We should do this. And you're like, no.
Right. Well, the approach
I don't want to
is-
do that because the computer's finally not kicking my butt.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Why
then
start
after a while,
over?
Yeah.
and plus-
unless the entire industry moves on, and then you're like, okay. Well,
Oh, I'm irrelevant now. I'm
yeah,
writing
I know
ColdFusion,
ColdFusion.
Yeah.
Well, actually, if you're in Europe, ColdFusion's actually still pretty good, apparently.
My ColdFusion? No, I don't think you ever read any of mine, but
Oh no! I'm saying like as a technology.
I mean-
it's good over there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. Laravel, PHP.
Yeah, I
Oh,
hear
yeah.
great things about Laravel or Laravel or
I don't-
whatever
is it
it is.
Laravel?
I don't know. I
Laravel?
think if
I don't
you're in
know.
Laravel
Louisville,
doesn't
you
sound-
say
like
Laravel.
Laravel.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I've heard
Yeah.
great things. The tools have improved. I think, I mean, if it ain't broke, don't try and fix it to a degree. If your things are working with the tools that continue to innovate, and they're very smart tools. I mean, there's certainly nothing wrong with that. They're well thought out and everything else. But is it necessary? I think like asking the question of to put up your marketing site, is it necessary? That's why I like things like Astro and because it's like HTML was pretty good. So let's like start at the simplest terms and then build up as we need.
And I think Astro is trying to do that, but still be in that node world where like your HTMXs are saying, well, use Rust or use Go or use PHP.
Right.
And then you add a few of these little declarative tags on there or attributes. And you have a little 34K package of JavaScript that basically just, you can do 90% of what you can do in a React app. And the question is, do you need it?
Yeah.
Like,
Is it good enough?
Yeah, it might be good enough. Yeah.
I think it's a reasonable question.
It depends. Is always the answer.
I love it depends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you are scared of that change, then that looks like, oh, I'm going to lose all my, I spent so many years learning use effect.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh,
now what?
gosh.
You know.
Yeah. See, I never started learning that.
Which is bad, or it's just used wrong, or I don't know. There's a lot of different things there.
Misunderstood, because I think a lot of folks went from like class components, which had a very clean life cycle.
Yeah, life cycle methods made sense.
On will
They
amount,
were-
all
it
that
just
kind
said
of stuff.
what it did.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, well, you can use functions and render. Yeah, okay, but cool. And then we got into functions, and they're kind of like leading you a little bit, because they're like, oh, well, now functions couldn't have state, but now they can.
Right.
I think now we got these hooks.
Yeah.
Right. And if you had this dot state, well, you use state. And if you had a component did mount, well, you use effect. Well, that's actually the wrong way of thinking about it.
Yeah.
It's actually like an entire reactive state management system. It's way more powerful than this dot state, except that like people don't look at it that way. Like, because there's a dependency arrays and everything else. And yeah. So you got to get your head into that space, and then you can actually do it.
I
It's still a
blame
pain in the ass.
Yeah, I blame Thunk and Sagas for putting us down this path for those jerks.
Yeah.
What the heck is
What
that?
the hell was that?
I don't know. Sagas, I don't even get me started, but Thunks.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, have you ever did any Win32 programming?
No, I did not.
Oh, okay. So Win32 had this thunking layer to get to, or Win16 had a thunking layer to get to Win32. And then, so I did that for a bunch of years, and I came back and, then Redux turns around, they're like, well, now we're doing thunking again. I'm like, are you kidding me?
You were like, I can't
It's
escape
in
you.
JavaScript. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah,
But
I think just people, really smart people are like, they're solving crazy problems over here, and they take those mental models and those paradigms, and they're applying it upstream.
Right. I mean, I think
And-
Elm was the original progenitor of
Right.
Redux, and it looks really good actually. If you do the Redux stuff in Elm, looks really great. But if you do it in React, it looks like a lot of boilerplate.
Because it was
a lot
never
of stuff.
intended to be there, right? Like the
Right,
thing, it's
right. And then
reactive
I think,
rendering layer,
yeah, and if you got a state management system in JavaScript, an inherently asynchronous system, single threaded but asynchronous, right? Everything we do is asynchronous. Click buttons, make fetches. It's all asynchronous. You create a state manager that doesn't have any default asynchronous behavior built into it. Like, what's that?
Yeah.
That's craziness. Like, you have to bring in an extra library to make it asynchronous. Like, of course, like, duh.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of been the React way, is bring another library.
Oh,
yeah. Well, you've got 6 or 7 different options for that.
Yeah.
So you better like choose your own adventure the whole way, and then hopefully it's not the ugliest Lego wall in the end. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know much about React, so
No.
it's kind of
Really?
all I got there. Yeah, I'm still an Ember user. So,
Oh, right.
yeah.
The hamster.
Yep.
Yeah.
I now know this.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he probably could have come around during class components time. He would have been like, oh,
Yeah.
well, this isn't so bad.
I liked
Yeah,
it
yeah,
okay
yeah.
during that.
Once
yeah.
hooks came in, and he was like, oh, dog shit.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Yep.
You and a lot of other folks.
I certainly struggled with it for a bit. I was just like, why are we doing this?
Did
I
you
need this
ever
to work.
did you get that mental shift though of going into like the
I did get
reactive
there. You
space?
got into.
Yeah,
I mean,
you have to.
I think I went through a lot of those crazy paths where you were, picking different state management things and routers and all of that kind of
and
stuff.
React
Once
router
Next.js came in and came to prevalence, it was like, well, I've got guardrails now. At least I can make sense of this. Like I thought so. I mean, to me,
Yeah, okay.
and I like the Pages router.
Yeah, yeah,
There's
yeah,
an
yeah.
app
It's nice. The
router
file-based router
bullshit
is really
now.
nice.
Like, what? I love this. This is one of the reasons why I said this is okay for me.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
now you're like taking them away. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm gonna play with other toys. I don't.
Yeah, I think Tanner Lindsley mentioned that this might have been the Angular 2 moment of React, and I think that's potentially fair in that if you have to throw away your design system and you've got to throw away your state manager and you got to like basically rewrite all your code, like I mean that's a heavy lift.
That's a gamble, really. But it must be advantageous for them in some way monetarily. I was like,
Who?
for Vercel,
Oh,
to like
okay.
make these big architectural changes or whatever. Who? I don't know. Guillermo, I guess.
Yeah.
Does he make some decisions there?
I think so.
So I think like maybe this is, I mean, things were working really well. Lots of people pay money for Vercel, but also there's a lot of people like reverse engineering so they can get the secret sauce outside of the Vercel system. And so maybe that, and maybe I'm speculating, but maybe that's some of the reasons why they're like iterating and changing the way things go, because they need to maintain a level of secret sauce because they took a bunch of money. They have a huge valuation. They need to keep people on their platform and not circumventing that, right? I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's valid. It's like anytime a device changes sizes or different ports, and you have to buy new cords.
right,
You have to
exactly.
get
Keep
new
them
case,
guessing.
You have to get a new cover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to do new jailbreaks for everything.
right.
Like, yeah.
Do people still do that? Jailbreak their phones?
I
don't
don't.
think
I
so.
used to. I
Yeah,
think you can
back
still
in the
do
day
it.
when you couldn't actually put apps on it. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say like that's the whole point of Apple, right? Is that you stay in the ecosystem, and so and it just works all the time.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
but how can I play Game Boy games on it if I
buy a Game
jailbreak
Boy?
Well,
Or
yeah.
Nintendo like actually puts out the game on
Well, yeah,
iOS. Which is-
I'd pay for that.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, they do some things anyway.
I think
Yeah,
Mario
they do.
Kart isn't Mario Kart on iOS?
Oh, they do. They do have something Mario. I
Yeah,
think.
there's
I
like
remember
a
seeing
Mario racing game of some
that. Yeah.
variety.
I
Yeah.
don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think along these similar lines of just talking about pontificating on the direction of the web and all this.
Yes.
The promise of web components and like WebAssembly. Like,
Yeah, oh,
is that really gonna when is that gonna
No,
come to
WebAssembly
fruition?
I think is for real. Yeah, like
Right, but
very
it's been for real. I feel like for 5 years, give or take.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they're
I mean,
coming.
there's
They're
some
coming,
amazing
and
stuff
here are
with it.
some
I mean, you can now
libraries that are
run
gonna like
Linux
fake them
inside of a
until-
WASM container,
Right.
On and actually run Next faster inside your browser than on because you're using a memcache essentially for the file system than you can on your disk. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy.
Yeah.
But again, when is it gonna come to fruition? And
What does
actually,
fruition mean? That's pretty fruition-y to me.
Sure,
Like mass adoption. I
mass
guess.
adoption. That's to me would be
Like
we're still talking about React server components and
I see.
and router component. Everything's a fucking component, but actually components because they're nested and I don't know. Anyway, so instead, blow away all those paradigms and actually think about how we make the web moving forward.
That's a good question. I mean, I think the argument that the HTMX folks are making is the way forward is to go essentially back to the way we were, basically, kind of actually use the browser as the platform is intended. Part of what they were trying to do with React was make up for variances in the browsers and the browsers not being as performant as we would have liked and all that kind of VDOM and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. But now the browsers rock, and you can do all this amazing stuff like view transitions. They are very powerful, and we don't really use them as much as we could because we're sitting on top of this abstraction layer that's on top of the browser. And the browser is its own abstraction layer and all sort of nested dolls sort of thing. Why don't we just use more of the browser?
Yeah, we should. There's a lot of stuff that people don't leverage that exists. Right. Yeah.
I mean, there's a whole form validation system baked right into the browser.
Yeah.
Nobody uses it.
But it doesn't look the way the designer wanted you to do it.
I think it can look any way you want it, but
well, true. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that's we've spent so much time rebuilding stuff just because it doesn't look exactly the way we want it. I've been arguing about this at work of we should use native date pickers. Yeah. I don't care how you want it to look. Let's use a native one. Yeah. Because it just works everywhere.
He's like, nah.
Oh, you don't believe in that?
Oh no, I do believe in that heavily. Actually, I'm just thinking about some nightmares throughout my career that I've had in making these trade-offs for visual subjectivity.
Mm-hmm.
The big one has been drop downs. How long, how many billions of different ways have we had to over-engineer drop downs because the design and UI UX teams are we don't want it to look like that.
It should be slightly
and you're
more mauve.
Oh,
how much money is mauve, right? I mean, slightly more mauve.
Yeah.
And now we've got there's a whole proposal on dropdowns. Actually, you can create a skinnable dropdown natively in the browser, which is and they've got cool circular dropdowns and all that. It's amazing stuff.
Yeah. Pop over API. That's a cool thing.
But of course, if you sit on top of the abstraction layer, you don't get any of that. So,
right.
Yeah.
So trust the browser to do good stuff and
right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just happy we have evergreen browsers. No more time with Internet Explorer.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's Edge.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is actually not bad.
Yeah. Microsoft's taking over the world.
Okay.
They
Slowly
are.
but surely. Yeah. They just buy all of our tools.
Yeah.
And make it work.
Well, apparently Apple might buy Disney, so whatever.
Huh.
Yeah. Odd.
Well, there's
combo there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, gosh. That's so funny. Well, I used to work for National Geographic, and so that's like a hell of a ride for them to come around full circle.
Wait, is National Geographic Disney or something?
They are Disney now.
Wait, what the who?
So National Geographic has this tie with Apple too, like where they're always a part of their major product launches. So like we used to pseudo get to know a few things. About like some of the first apps to release for the iPhone originally was National Geographic, and they partnered with us on a few different things. And then National Geographic got blown up. All the for-profit, so it used to be a not-for-profit, so you had the society doing all the adventure stuff, and then you had like the magazine, the channel, and like media things that were allowed to be for-profit and then feed into the nonprofit. But basically, the magazine was profitable, but not that great, and then the channel made all the money, and the channel was partially owned by Fox, so then Fox wanted everything, so 21st Century Fox got National Geographic partners, and then the society broke off, and they were just like, good in perpetuity though, because they were like losing money and they didn't know if they were going to be a business. And then a few years later, Disney bought National Geographic. So that was like part of some deal with Murdoch's.
Nice. I gotta say, well, if you ever get a chance, National Geographic actually has like a kind of tour thing where they have speakers go around, and actually right over here at one of Arlene Schnitzer Hall, my wife and daughter and I would go every month to go see a different speaker. They were fascinating.
Yeah, they're
really amazing.
Explorers are super cool.
Yeah.
I used to live in DC and I worked there for a while, so I'd head down and see all kinds of different explorers speak, and
just amazingly cool people.
Yeah, definitely.
Just rocked up, went to Antarctica for
no big deal.
Whatever.
NBD. I was just hanging out with some penguins.
My camera is freezing all the time. Like,
So I think the real reason we're here is we want to hear about the things people have been saying on Nextdoor.
It gets weirder and weirder every time. And some lady, she says somebody abducted my cat and shaved it, just his belly.
Ooh,
and you're like, okay, all right.
And that's it. End of story.
Spend the time to actually document the shaved cat belly on Nextdoor, and they kind of conspiracy theorize why this might have happened and stuff. Like, oh really?
Yeah.
Huh.
This is important news to me. Like So,
but you stick around for it.
Well, I mean, I stick around because my daughter's out of the house, so we're starting to like change things up. If you got to get rid of a carpet or whatever, it's like you don't want to necessarily take it to the dump. It's nice carpet, so
sure, yeah.
Give it for free on Nextdoor. But that's basically the only reason I'm showing up there. Otherwise, it's like it is party town. On that place.
It is an interesting.
Like party kind of.
Crazy party. Yeah, it's where people like everybody who used to argue on Facebook went to Nextdoor to argue about politics and I don't know, whatever thing.
There's a lot of that.
Yeah, but then they know each other because they're neighbors. So it's even weirder.
Yes, it's amazing how the knives come out between neighbors.
Yeah, they'll be like the guy in the gray Mazda with the license plate, whatever, and like got too close to me at the stop sign, and like
he cut me off.
And it's like, all right,
okay, yeah. So it sounds like you guys are on.
I go look at the crazies every once in a while. Sure,
poke the cage.
Yeah, exactly. I remember when we first moved back to Phoenix, and I got on it, and it was like, oh, I can get to know some of my neighbors, and I think it was useful for about 2 months, and then I don't know what. Well, I think pandemic happened, and then people leaned in hard, and I was like,
pandemic was okay. So I'm a moron. So my wife goes out of town. And she's like, hey, you should go to the HOA meeting, because that was when she was out of town. I'm like, sure, okay, whatever. So I go to the HOA meeting. I'm bored, whatever, listen to this and then the other thing. And they're like, hey, we need a new person on the HOA. And if one of you doesn't sign up, we're going to voluntold you.
Ooh.
So, I
love HOAs.
And then, And they're like, oh, it's only, a couple, like an hour a month. I would go, yeah, okay, sure. And so I sign up. And eventually I'm like, during the pandemic, I was the HOA president.
Wow.
And man, people went nuts because they're in their houses, right, all the time, and they want to upgrade their houses and all that. And you tell them, hey, you can't have an 8-foot high fence just surrounding your house. Like that's not okay. Like it's not okay by us, but it's not okay as a county, probably the state. And they're like, no, we're gonna sue you. It's like you can't even sue me. Like
You signed into this. You signed up for this shit.
Exactly.
What is
exactly.
wrong with
Like,
you?
what do you? Yeah, and then of course it was nice to get out of it, but it's amazing how much people like are really angry about their HOAs. And it's this is
I've never
normally
heard,
just your neighbors.
Yeah, I've never heard any stories where people are like, I just
Well,
love
I
the
love my
HOA.
HOA. Yeah.
They keep every house the same 3 shades of brown, and it's wonderful.
I gotta tell
wake
you,
up
like
and I appreciate
before the pandemic, I don't remember anybody having a run-in with the HOA. It was like, just like, hey, do you want to paint your house? Blah, blah, blah. Like, yeah, sure, whatever. It's not a big deal. We're just cool.
People had
And then,
they had to lean in because they were bored.
Yeah,
Stir
something like
crazy.
that.
Possibly.
And nothing else to do.
Do you have any pizza making tips and tricks?
oh, wow.
I have an uni.
Oh, really?
So I've done some.
Okay.
Yeah.
Long dough rise, like get the flavor going. Yeah, so like prep the dough like a day ahead. That's real handy. I actually learned this on Twitter. A guy piped up and said he worked at a pizza joint and it looked like your cheese was a little toasted. So, you want to like use a combination mozzarella and Gouda and eat them. Okay. So we did that the first time. And then my wife went over to a cheesemonger a couple of days ago and she's like, well, can I get Gouda and eat them? And he's like, well, they're the same thing. So like, okay. But so no, you got to get a good cheese blend. That's handy. Oh, and then when it comes to uni, they have a really nice like cast iron little skillet sort of thing.
Yeah.
Do you have that?
I don't have it.
Oh, cool. So what you can do is you can like put onions on there, like when it's heating up, right?
Yeah.
Because they got to get the stone hot and all that. So when it's heating up, you can put that in and you like grill your onions ahead of time, grill your sausage.
Yeah, that does sound like a good pro tip.
Oh, yeah,
actually.
yeah.
I'd be into that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do a lot of I tried for a while in the pandemic, like everybody else, to like make
Right.
your own bread and do pizza dough and whatever else. Failed miserably.
Really?
But a local pizzeria that we really like, they were trying to keep going like
Right,
everywhere else.
So they'll sell you dough balls.
They sell you a dough ball.
Exactly.
It's like $3 and it's awesome.
Yeah.
And then when it's tomato season, I make my own sauce. I can do all the other things, but no dough.
Did you get the whole like dun, 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 like flipping the dough thing and all that?
Oh yeah, some of that to like
A
stretch
little
it
bit of
out.
that,
Yeah,
stretch
it was
it out.
all right there. It's just the making of the dough. All things, including flour, seem to hate me in my hands. I don't know what it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which kind of flour do you use?
There was a local place actually that would do
Look
like
at you.
a pizza flour. So I was trying to
Oh, no
like
kidding.
embrace the local. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I didn't get
Okay.
like the stuff from Naples or whatever like some fancy places do. But
Stuff from Naples that like my local Safeway. So.
well, did you get the DAO certification and all that stuff?
Oh,
with
no,
the right
whoa.
mozzarella and the right dough
Oh,
and all that
wow.
kind of shit. Yeah. So-
Okay. No, I didn't go that hot. But there was like double O flour at
Yeah.
like, little bags. And yeah, that can be really good too.
All right. Well, I'll keep practicing. I'll let you know.
Okay. Yeah. What kind of uni do you have?
The one that you can do both with propane or wood.
Oh, cool.
So if
probably
you
the
need
same one
to-
I do, like the Crew 16.
Yeah,
whatever.
that sounds right.
Yeah.
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 So it's good.
It
I
seemed
love
like
it. It's fun.
there was definitely like a thing where it's like there was the low end of it and then the high end of it.
Yeah.
And I've always learned that like you want to buy into the low end of the high end as opposed to the high end of the low end.
Right.
Right. And so that seemed like the low end of the high end.
Yeah. Well, my wife got it for me for Father's Day or something. I don't know.
Nice.
And so it was
Okay.
kind of a surprise. But
Go wife.
it's kind of
Yeah.
It worked out. She's all right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
she
then-
listens, and my kids listen sometimes too.
Whoa.
So you can hear Daddy's voice in the car. So it
Oh,
makes
wow.
me seem cool. Actually, they think I am cool because we just started putting YouTube videos up. So the fact that I can go to the TV and search for us, and they can see me on the TV, they're like, minds are blown.
I'm actually scared to do that. Yeah.
I don't know. It worked for me. They think I'm cool.
No.
They're
I
4
think it's
and
like
almost 7.
It's just
so,
weird to
you
like
know,
see me.
I seek
on
their
the
approval.
TV.
It's
Yeah.
My son doesn't watch any TV because
Yeah,
he
he's too
is
young.
16 months old.
right.
Oh wow!
So-
Start him young.
Congratulations!
Start him
Yeah,
young.
thanks.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no, we're actually on purpose, like no TV until he's 2.
Oh yeah,
So-
I think
that
that's
thing.
fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's
Yeah.
reasonable.
So he
I
watched
can make
his
jokes,
first show as a treat, and that was it. He got to watch Peppa Pig
Oh,
for 30
nice.
minutes. Yeah,
but- Yeah, I've seen some.
Is
of
there a show now on that, or what? How?
Yeah.
There was a movie.
yeah, it's a
that.
show.
It's just a TV
Yeah.
show. with
I mean,
like this
I'm not.
Is British
in general, like you kind of age out of these things. I don't generally watch like whatever. You know.
You don't watch Peppa Pig all the time.
Like, my kids were like, my kid was like Blue's Clues.
Oh right,
you know,
and they've seen that too. But this is probably a more
that's
recent
still around.
And they're British.
Blue's Clues are around.
Yes,
still around.
they've changed the main guy. It's like
oh yeah, no, that dude like aged out. I'm sure.
Right.
Oh yeah,
whatever his name was, I forget.
Right.
But
Steve.
Yes. Steve's cousin.
Yeah.
Yes. There we go. See the hive mind. We get there.
Yeah. Baby Einstein, is that still a thing?
I
That
think
was
so.
some trippy stuff.
Yeah. You'd like take some acid, watch that.
Yeah.
I don't do that, listener. Just
But you could.
yeah, you could maybe later.
In
life,
Portland,
you know?
mushrooms are legal. So,
Oh yeah,
semi kind of legal.
What? Like
I thought everything
I was
was
just
kind
like,
of legal.
can you go buy that in the store right now?
There
Like
was a store where you could go buy that.
dispensary.
That store is no longer
I
operating.
see. Well,
But
you
if
know.
you got a friend who can make some mushrooms,
All right.
you're good to go.
Okay, well, we'll be over at your house later.
I don't make.
You don't make them?
We'll talk about it on next door later.
There you go. Exactly. Yes. Exactly.
Anybody need a bag of these mushrooms? I know a guy. His name's Jack.
Yeah. So if you weren't in tech, what career would you choose?
Oh wow. I really enjoy woodworking. I know that's so cliche.
I'm not the only carpenter here.
Yeah. I mean,
Doo-doo.
It's so good to like feel like a thing that you created that's tangible in the world. Like, there's no other sensation like that. And so that would be really good. I always said, like, if I'm not classically trained in any of this, but I volunteered on an FRC team, which is a robotics team. And they have mechanical, like, so when you make a robot, right, it's hardware, there's some wiring and all that.
Yeah.
There's software, gotta make a move. And then there's mechanical. And I really enjoy the mechanical part of it, like figuring out like how to make the trebuchet go and all that sort of thing. And so if I had it all to do over again, mechanical engineering, that kind of being able to
Robotics
make things
and
work
like that.
physically in the world, I think is really cool.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think it's really neat and kind of impressive. So
Yeah, I think anything where you can work with your hands and not look at a computer all day sounds very appealing to me.
yeah.
But these skills are underrated and come in very, very handy. Like I set up a studio in my house, and as an example, like we're on these mics, and these mics have particular pickup patterns and all that. But I use a shotgun mic in my videos. Shotgun mics have an issue where indoors they pick up a lot of reflected noise. And the smaller the room, the worse the problem. So you need to hang up these acoustic blankets, and so I actually designed like these full-on hangers and CNC'd them, the whole thing, to like drop these acoustic blankets from the ceiling. And so that when I want to record, I just kind of roll them down and then go. And then when I want to not record, I can roll them up. I have my office back. And it's really nice. And the only reason I could do that, I mean, you could never find those hangers like in the real world. Like you have to design them. So it's nice to have those kind of skills to fall back on.
I agree. That's for
sure. Yeah, I just don't have the time to use any of those skills. But
You got to work on that.
There's two varietals of like, I mean, you know this, like as a woodworker, like there's the folks that like will sit there with a chisel and just go all day, like, doing the Japanese joinery thing.
Oh, right.
And then there's other folks who be like me, who like power tool it is, man. It's like, I want to be in and out, bang, bang, bang.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
yeah, I think that was about all we had there. Are there any things we missed or anything you want to plug before we end?
I mean, other than the channel, honestly, like I still looking for a subscriber. Although it's doing very, very well, and I'm really enjoying it. Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, like and just the channel.
All right.
Blue collar dev, right?
Blue collar coder.
Blue collar coder. See,
BCC.
that's why you have to say.
There you go. As opposed to BCD, I guess. Blue collar dev. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, everyone's confused now. But
Right.
He corrected me. We'll make sure it's in the notes. And
first time somebody really questioned it was on Twitter. They were like, "What the heck, blue collar coder? What are you talking about?"
and then you were like,
Yeah, I mean, it's the approach that I have to coding is like very practical. It's like I like building stuff for customers, and so that's the way I teach it.
That's awesome. Check it out, guys.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Thanks, everyone, for listening. If you liked it, please subscribe, leave us some ratings and reviews. We appreciate it, and we will catch you next time.
Boom, boom, boom.